May your day and the week ahead be full of light, clarity, and, well, deep divine blessing.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, honestly, you are going to need a lot of that clarity today.
We're covering some heavy ground.
We really are. We are looking at a 3,000-year-old legally binding contract today.
Right.
And the wild part is, depending on how you view ancient texts and, like, corporate identity, you might actually be a party to this contract without even realizing it.
Which is a pretty staggering thought. I mean, when you really sit with it.
Exactly. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are dissecting Deuteronomy chapter 29.
One of the most intense chapters in the book.
Definitely. And to help us decode this text, we're pulling insights from two really heavy-hitting, highly respected resources.
The Holman Study Bible and the Nova Almeida Actualizada, or the NAA Study Bible.
Right, the NAA. And the setting here is just crucial to understanding the whole thing.
Context is everything.
Always. So picture this. We are standing in the dusty plains of Moab. Moses is delivering his climactic final address.
And the NAA study notes actually categorize this specific address as his fourth discourse.
Okay, his fourth. And the Israelites, they're right on the very edge of entering the Promised Land.
Literally looking at it.
Yeah. And Moses is doing something huge. He is establishing a new covenant.
Well, or renewing it, really.
Right, renewing that massive foundational contract that they originally made earlier at Mount Horeb.
And the stakes of this contract renewal, they're just really difficult to overstate.
Because they're not just wanderers anymore.
Exactly. They are transitioning from this nomadic, surviving-by-the-minute group of refugees into a fully settled nation-state.
Which requires a completely different rulebook.
A totally different legal and theological framework, yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore this profound tension between divine sovereignty and human free will.
Which gets very complicated.
It does. Plus, we're going to look at the striking legal nature of these ancient Near Eastern treaties, and then at the very end, there's this incredible philosophical pivot.
Oh, about what we're supposed to do with the secret things of the universe. I love that part.
It's so good. But to grasp the weight of this new contract, we first have to look at the bizarre 40-year journey that led up to this exact moment.
The 40 years in the desert.
Right. So Moses starts by forcing the people standing right in front of him to, confront their own history.
He doesn't let them forget.
No, he reminds them of the great plagues in Egypt that got them their freedom in the first place.
And the recent military victories, too.
Yeah, against these formidable kings like Sihon of Heshbon and Og of Bashan.
And those defeated lands were just given as an inheritance to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh.
Right, so they are standing there physically holding the proof of their victory.
The evidence is right in their hands.
But then Moses, he sort of bypasses the big geopolitical wins and drills down into these incredibly intimate, everyday miracles.
All small stuff?
Exactly. He says, look, for 40 years in a brutal desert environment, your clothes didn't wear out. The sandals on your feet did not degrade for 4 decades.
That's just wild to think about.
I know. They didn't rely on agriculture. They didn't eat normal bread or drink wine.
They relied entirely on divine provision.
Right, the manna, every single day. So they would know the Lord was their God.
Which, creates a really unique psychological environment for a society.
How so?
Well, they were living in this suspended state of grace. They didn't have to engage in the normal economic activities of, like, tanning leather or growing wheat.
They just woke up and the food was there.
Exactly. Every single day was a dependency test. And yet, Moses states this devastating paradox in verse 4.
Oh, right. This part is intense.
It is. He tells them that despite experiencing this constant physical provision, quote, "To this day, the Lord has not given you a mind to understand, eyes to see, or ears to hear."
Okay, let's unpack this, because that is a massive contradiction to me.
It really is.
It's like, okay, imagine watching a magician perform right in front of your face for 40 years.
Okay, I like this.
You see the trick, you completely benefit from it, but you have no idea how it works, and you refuse to believe the magician is even real.
Right, you're just eating the magic bread and shrubbing.
Yes. If they physically experience these miracles every day, how is it possible that Moses says their minds and eyes are just totally shut off?
So the Holman Study Bible Notes offer a really brilliant analysis of this. It's the intersection of divine sovereignty and human choice.
Okay.
God provides the undeniable evidence, right? The literal shoes on their feet. He provides the opportunity for belief.
But he doesn't force it.
Exactly. He does not override the human will. The provision is supernatural, but the processing of that provision that requires human agency.
So God sets the table,
Mhm.
but the individual still has to choose to sit down and chew.
That's a great way to put it. And the NAA notes add another crucial layer here about how ancient Israelites understood human anatomy and psychology.
Regarding the heart.
Yes. When Moses talks about them lacking a heart to understand, he isn't talking about, like, emotional disconnection.
Like we would today, yeah.
Right. In Old Testament theology, the heart is the center of morality. It's the control room of human willpower and intellect.
So their fundamental moral compass, their actual willpower, is just stubbornly shut off.
Precisely. They possess the visual evidence, but their internal control center deliberately filtered it out.
Preventing it from turning into genuine trust.
Yeah. Which demands a major structural change in how Moses manages these people going forward.
Because he realizes human willpower is incredibly fragile.
It's totally prone to failing, even when staring at a 40-year-old unbroken sandal.
Right. So he knows he can't just rely on their fuzzy memories.
Their temporary gratitude.
Exactly. He has to legally bind them through a formal, airtight agreement.
A classic suzerain vassal treaty.
Yes. Which brings us to the actual ceremony in verses 10 through 15.
Yeah.
And Moses outlines exactly who is standing before the Lord to enter this sworn covenant.
And it is radically inclusive.
It really is. The text lists the expected hierarchy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The tribal chiefs, the elders, the officials.
The people you'd expect at a treaty signing.
Yeah. But then it explicitly includes the children, the wives, and then specifically names the foreigners residing in the camp.
The manual laborers.
Right. The woodcutters and the water carriers are legally included.
Which is huge. In the deeply stratified societies of the ancient Near East, peasants and laborers were entirely excluded from state-level legal contracts.
They were just property, basically.
Pretty much. Treaties were made between kings and the elite. So by placing the water carrier on the exact same legal footing as the tribal chief,
It disrupts the whole social order.
it completely upends it. And it also fulfills the ancient oath made to the patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, the time-bending part?
Yes. Moses doesn't stop with the massive crowd standing right in front of him. He extends the contract to, quote, those who are not here today.
He binds future generations.
He binds unborn people to this exact moment in the plains of Moab. And, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
From a logical or moral perspective, binding people who haven't even been conceived to a contract they didn't sign, it seems kind of unjust.
It's a tough pill to swallow today.
It's like inheriting an underwater mortgage from your great-great-grandfather.
Right.
You didn't buy the house, you never saw the house, but suddenly you were the one facing financial ruin because he signed a piece of paper.
Well, what's fascinating here is that your reaction is a completely natural, modern one.
Because I'm thinking like a modern individual.
Exactly. We view identity through a highly individualized Western lens, but the NAA notes help reorient us to the ancient Hebrew mindset.
Okay, how do they see it?
The covenant isn't viewed as a static historical event locked in the past. It is a living, continuous relationship.
Oh, okay.
The community is treated as a corporate personality. Israel is a single, multi-generational entity.
Okay, I understand the concept of corporate identity, like being a citizen of a nation. If I'm born in a country, I'm bound by its laws, even though I wasn't at the drafting convention.
Right, the Constitution applies to you.
But a modern constitution doesn't usually carry a list of divine curses and ecological destruction if I personally fail to uphold it.
Well, the stakes here are existential because the source of their existence is divine.
That makes sense.
In this worldview, the Israel of Moses' day and the Israel of 500 years later are covenantally the exact same entity.
So the permanence of God's promise demands a permanent partner.
Exactly. The future generations inherit the incredible blessings of the patriarchs. The land, the protection, the identity.
And you can't inherit the massive estate without also inheriting the stipulations of the trust.
You take the whole package.
Wow. Okay, so the burden of that trust requires Moses to lay out the terms of breach very clearly.
To keep a multi-generational entity intact, you have to define the pathogen that will destroy it.
Yes. And Moses identifies the primary threat, this poisonous root of arrogance.
Idolatry.
Right. He reminds them of their passage through Egypt and other nations. They saw all these abominations, idols made of wood, stone, silver, and gold.
And Moses warns against a root bearing bitter and poisonous fruit growing among them.
It's such a visceral image.
It is. And the NWA study notes make a really powerful connection here to the New Testament, specifically Hebrews 12.15.
Oh, what does Hebrews say?
It adopts this exact imagery of the bitter root. The notes frame this not just as a simple moral failing, but as a highly contagious, infectious sin.
So it spreads.
Rapidly.
Well, Moses profiles the patient zero of this infection in verse 19. He describes this specific stubborn person.
The one who hears the curses.
Yeah. This person stands in the assembly, hears all the penalties of breaking the covenant, but quietly blesses themselves in their own heart.
Rationalizing it all.
Right. They think, I will be safe, even though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart. It is just the pinnacle of arrogance.
They believe the rules of reality simply skip over them.
It totally reminds me of someone driving down a winding mountain road, right?
Okay.
And they pass this massive illuminated sign that says, bridge out ahead, certain death.
Yeah, but they keep driving.
They keep driving at 90 miles per hour because they think, well, my car has top-of-the-line airbags, so I'll be fine.
Ignoring everyone else on the road.
Exactly. They ignore the fact that when they inevitably crash, they aren't just hurting themselves. They're going to cause a pileup that takes out a dozen other cars.
That analogy captures the exact mechanism of destruction here. The individual arrogance forces a communal disaster.
Right.
Look at the phrase used to describe the result of this arrogance in the text. This will bring disaster on the watered land as well as the dry.
Oh, the Holman notes unpack that proverb beautifully.
Yes, they do.
They explain that the intentional high-handed rebel causes indiscriminate destruction.
Sweeping everyone away.
Yeah. The watered land represents the innocent, flourishing people, and they get swept away right alongside the dry land, which is the guilty.
Societal collapse doesn't carefully sort the righteous from the wicked.
It just takes down the entire structure.
And the text states unequivocally that God will not forgive this specific type of arrogant subversion. His jealousy will burn and he will blot out their name from under heaven.
But a pathogen like that and arrogance this severe, it doesn't just quietly fade away.
No, it festers.
The text argues that this internal moral decay eventually forces a literal ecological collapse.
Moving from legal warnings to a full-blown apocalyptic vision.
Yes. Moses tells them to imagine a future generation or a foreigner traveling from a distant land, walking into the promised land.
And finding it absolutely decimated.
Instead of milk and honey, it's a burning waste of sulfur and salt.
The physical description is just chilling. It cannot be planted. It produces nothing.
Not even a blade of grass can grow.
And Moses anchors this in a historical reference point they all knew. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Right, which the Lord overthrew in fierce anger. You know, ancient armies, when they conquered a city, they didn't just burn it. Sometimes they would sow the agricultural land with salt.
Oh, right. As a ritual curse.
Yeah, to symbolize that a treaty had been permanently broken and the land was officially foreclosed on.
It's like pouring concrete down the plumbing of a repossessed house.
Exactly. So no human being can ever live there again. And this total barrenness, it provokes a huge reaction from the rest of the world.
Because it's so extreme.
Right. Moses says all the nations will look at this wasteland and ask, why did the Lord do this to this land? Why this great burning anger?
And the answer will be universally known.
The text says people will reply, because they abandoned the covenant of the Lord, they went off and worshipped other gods.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the NWA notes point out that this is the ultimate tragedy looming over Deuteronomy.
The loss of the land.
Exactly. The land is inextricably tied to the covenant. Israel was meant to be an object lesson for the whole world.
Right. If they thrive, the world sees God's goodness.
But if they break the contract, their spectacular salted destruction serves as an equally loud warning to the surrounding nations.
But looking at this terrifying prophecy of a ruined land, a really natural theological question comes up for me.
How do they survive it?
Yeah. If they are destined to end up in exile with their land in ashes, how do we reconcile this future ruin with God's eternal promise to Abraham?
It seems like a massive contradiction. The contract demands their end, but the promise demands their continuation.
Exactly. So how does the story continue?
Well, that paradox brings us to the final, incredibly famous verse of chapter 29.
Verse 29, it's such a stunning shift in tone.
It really is. Moses moves from this intense, terrifying discourse of burning sulfur into this quiet, almost mystical statement.
Right. The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may follow all the words of this law.
It's beautiful.
It is. But so what does this all actually mean? Why drop a philosophical statement about secrets at the end of a foreclosure notice?
To fully grasp this pivot, we have to draw deeply on both the Holman and the NAA study notes.
Okay, let's start with Holman.
The Holman notes highlight that exact contradiction you mentioned, how God will balance his perfect justice against rebellion with his unbreakable promise to the patriarchs.
The ultimate paradox.
Yes, and the answer is that this paradox is a secret thing belonging to God. The mechanics of that salvation are his to manage, not theirs.
So Moses is basically telling them the math of the future isn't going to compute for them right now.
They can't reconcile the two columns of the ledger.
So they just have to hand the ledger over to the design.
Exactly. And the NAA notes add a really vital psychological and theological layer here.
Which is?
That not all truth is revealed to humanity. God intentionally keeps some variables hidden.
Why, though? Why not just give us the whole plan?
Because the existence of these hidden things is meant to stimulate humility and demand deep trust.
Ah.
Think about it. If humans knew every outcome, every variable, and exactly how God was going to manage centuries of failure to arrive at redemption.
We wouldn't need trust at all. We'd just be managing data.
Exactly. We would act as peers to the divine rather than subjects.
Wow, that is profoundly relevant for anyone listening right now.
It really hits home.
Think about how much time and energy you spend obsessing over secret things.
Constantly.
We agonize over an unknown future. We lay awake at night trying to reverse engineer unexplainable tragedies or solve the massive paradoxes of our own lives.
We desperately want access to the secret files so we can feel a sense of control.
But Moses is providing a directive on where to channel our energy. He declares that the revealed things belong to us and our children.
He's commanding a psychological pivot.
Stop agonizing over the cosmic secrets you have no jurisdiction over and start executing the revealed things you do control.
Focus on the clear instructions.
Yes. Focus on your daily responsibilities, the ethical choices directly in front of you today.
Yeah.
How you manage your integrity, how you treat the foreigner and the laborer in your own camp.
That is your jurisdiction. It grounds a people staring at potential doom entirely in their present obedience.
It frees them from the paralysis of the unknown.
It's just a remarkable framework for living.
It truly is. Well, let's briefly recap the incredible terrain we've covered today.
We've covered a lot.
We started with the silent miracles of the desert. 40 years of unworn sandals and daily manna that the people consumed, yet they lacked the moral volition, the uncomprehending heart to truly grasp it.
Then we examine the mechanics of that time-bending, multi-generational suzerain treaty.
Right, the one that elevated the water carrier and bound the unborn great-grandchild into this continuous corporate agreement.
And we dissected the contagious pathogen of individual stubbornness.
The root bearing poisonous fruit. The arrogance of the person who thinks their personal airbags allow them to break the rules of reality, bringing disaster on the watered land and the dry.
Which leads to that terrifying apocalyptic vision of the promised land foreclosed upon, reduced to ashes and sulfur.
Serving as a geological object lesson for the whole world. And finally, we explored the peace found in leaving the massive secret things to God and focusing on the daily, grounded work of doing what is revealed.
A perfect summary.
And I want to leave you all with a final thought to mull over today. We talked about future generations looking back at a wasteland of sulfur and salt, scratching their heads and asking why.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if we are indeed bound to the contracts and consequences of the past. What kind of contracts are we actively writing for the future?
That's a heavy question.
Centuries from now, what ruined lands? Whether environmental wastelands, deep relational breakdowns, or fractured societies might future generations look at? And will they know what fundamental promises we broke to get there?
A haunting but necessary question to hold on to.
Thank you so much for exploring this ancient text with us today. Take care of yourselves, think deeply about the legacy and the treaties you are building, and know that God blesses all of you listening.